Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Sham Sundar Shekanda Shekhar Smraha Smurli Manohara Radhika Raska Mama Kripanitahe Supriya Charna King Kurim Kuru Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvayavana Tivikaya Devi Tam Namam Charantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual guru, Asmate Paramaradhatama Guru Pada Padma, Nitya Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashtotaras Shishmad, Rupanugacharya Varya, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Guru Dev, Srila Prabhupada, and all our Sri Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vancha Kalpatarubhascha. In Bhagavad Gita, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, he has said, Bhaktra mam avijanati yavanyas chasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato gyatva vishate taranantaram. Hey Arjun, I can only be known. I can only be realized by pure bhakti. The Supreme Lord cannot be known by the performance of pious activities. He cannot be known by philosophical deliberation of jnana. He cannot be known by the performance of austerities, sacrifice, renunciation, only by bhakti. Is this a sectarian opinion of bhaktas? No. This is the ontological reality. Sri Krishna's Swarup is Sachidananda, the embodiment of the Sandhini Shakti, his spiritual existence potency, Samvit Shakti, his transcendental awareness potency, and Hladini Shakti, his transcendental blissful potency. Therefore, it is said, Na Deva Devam Achayat. Unless you are on the level of God yourself, you cannot worship God. If you are in one plane of existence and God is in another plane of existence, then how you have a sambandha, relationship? So as Sri Krishna exists in the plane of Vishuddha Sattva, pure existence of his Swarup Shakti, so similarly, only those souls who themselves have ascended to the plane of Swarup Shakti, Krishna's divine internal potency, can relate with him and have sambandha with him. So when the Samvit Shakti, consciousness potency, and Hladini Shakti, the pleasure potency, which constitutes the Satchidananda Swarup of Shri Krishna, when that emanates from his form, then that combination of Samvit and Hladini is called Bhakti, Bhakti Shakti. And when that Bhakti Shakti enters into the Satta, into the heart of the Jiva, then he can become established in a relation of loving service to Shri Krishna. Therefore, Shri Krishna can be known only by Bhakti. All the activities of Bhakti are fully spiritual and transcendental. This Bhakti Shakti manifests in the form of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. In many different forms: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, offering prayers, becoming the servant and the friend. This is all the vilas, the play of Swarup Shakti, Krishna's internal potency. So, if the living entity, he has ahankar, false ego, I am the doer, prakrite kriyamanani gunae karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. The living entity in this world, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the performer of the activities which are in actuality carried out by three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, in this world. If the living entity maintains the ego that I am the doer, then he will not be able to avail himself of the shelter of Bhakti Shakti, Swarup Shakti. Bhakti begins with hearing, and then what we have heard we chant, the holy names. Vaitavan neva lokesmin pumsam dhamma parasmrta. See, Jamaraj, Dharmaraj himself, he said that the true dharma of every living entity is bhakti. Bhakti yogo bhagavati tannama grahanadivi. And it begins with receiving and repeating Harinam. So Nam Prabhu is Krishna himself. Nam Prabhu is eternal, pure and complete reality. Krishna. Always pure. But when a living entity in this world tries to chant the name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, then we see, practically speaking, he is not experiencing Krishna's presence. Why? Because Shuddhanaham, the pure name, and Nam Aparada are completely different. Shuddhanam is transcendental Krishna, and Nam Aparad is only a movement of air. There are 10 aparads, offenses to the name, beginning with criticism of devotees. Considering the demigods like Shiva to be on the same level as Krishna. Disrespecting the spiritual master, thinking that he is an ordinary human being. Krurvagya Shushti Shasta Nindana. Having doubt in the scriptures, or subverting their main purpose. The main purpose of scripture is to teach the glories of the holy name. If you try to emphasize another aspect of Shastra, then you are subverting the intention of the entire canon of Vedic literature. So this is an offense. Tadatavado harinam nikalpanam. To think that the glories of the holy name are exaggeration. It is said that the name of Krishna, it makes jatit pratiti. Jatit pratiti means immediately upon being uttered. Then the person who's uttered that name will see Krishna's form. Jatit, there and then, immediately. That experience comes. That is for one, even not chanting Shuddha Nam. Only one who is chanting Namabhas, Nam without offense. So, when we hear this, a doubt comes in the mind. This is Namaparad. It is offense to the name. Because these are the glories of the name described in the Shastra. Tadatavado harinam nikalpanam. How can it be true? It must be in imagination, exaggeration. To commit the sinful activities, thinking that Nam Prabhu, anyway, I'll chant, I'll sin, and then chant again and sin, and chant again in this way. I'll keep washing away the reactions of the sin. Actually, it's true. If you sin and then you chant, then chanting will wash away. But it's offense to Nam Prabhu. So now the living entity has closed his only exit from the ocean of material existence by offending the holy name. To consider the chanting of the holy name to be equal to the performance of any other activity, pious activity, or even any other activities of devotional service. Nam is supermost. To instruct faithless persons. Actually, all the time we tell people who don't have faith about the glories of the holy name. So is it an offense? No. Here, the offense means to give initiation to a person whose faith has not properly developed. Because many persons, they try to make a business out of bhakti. So they give initiation to many persons who have not developed sufficient faith in the name to get money and followers. So this is Namaparad. And last one. Shuttvapi nama mahatmyam ya priti rahito dama hammamadi paramo namni sopya paradakrit. To hold on to the conception of aham mameti, I and mine. When one chants the holy name, then just a slight glimpse of the light emanating from the name, Namabhas, will separate one from the bodily identification. But if consciously one will hold on to the bodily identification of I and mine, it will be a great offense to Nam Prabhu. So, simply remaining in the darkness of the bodily consciousness, ahankar, by consciously holding on to this conception, one is making offense to Nam. And therefore there's no experience of bhakti as the vilas of the Swarup Shakti. Whereas a person who's developed firm faith, they have no doubt in the holy name. And they let go of all their mundane conceptions and ideas and take complete shelter of Nam Prabhu. Without thinking, I am chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No, Nam Prabhu is the avatar of the Supreme Lord. He is descending and appearing on my tongue, in my ear, in my mind. When they chant, they can experience that Bhakti is not the substance of this world, it is Krishna's internal potency. And in stages, Kram, Nam, Rup, Gun, Parikar, Leela, step by step, the holy name begins to reveal the transcendental reality. So Kunti Devi, she prayed to Krishna when he was leaving Hastinapur. Shrinvanti gayanti grinanti abhikshnasa smaranti nandanti tavetam jana taiva pasyanchatirena tavakam bhava pravaho paramam padambujam. O Krishna, those who continuously hear about you, who continuously sing your glories, Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Govinda Gopala Jai, Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai 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 Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Without shyness or hesitation. Those who are loudly singing, hearing about you, repeating your teachings, smaranti, meditating on you, and taking pleasure in seeing others doing so. So those persons, ta eva pasyancha tirena tavakas, in a short time, they have the darshan of your lotus feet. So this is our exclusive responsibility. Having taken birth in the human form of life, we have one responsibility only. And that is to constantly engage in hearing, chanting and remembering about the glories of the lotus feet of Shri Krishna. Kunti Devi, she's telling, she has realization. Those who engage in this, they see Krishna directly, in a short time. Pasyant achirena. Achirena means in a short time. Bhava pravaho paramam padambujam. And those who see the lotus feet of Krishna, all suffering in the endless chain of birth and death in the material world is completely eradicated. This is our responsibility. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially has put stress on Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the supreme among all Shastras. Satyo Ritya Vrutyatakatibi Susrusubis Tatjanat. If one simply were to speak of hear Srimad Bhagavatam, one simply has a very strong desire, I want to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. That once Krishna enters the heart of that person, he becomes trapped there, he cannot leave. Sadhyo Ridhyavarudate. Sadhya means immediately. Tatchanat. Tatchanat means in that very moment, when he desires to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Ridhyavarudate, Krishna is trapped in his heart. So it seems redundant. Immediately and at that moment. But Tatchanat, Chan means, in Sanskrit, Chanam also means Mahotsava, a festival. In other words, the reason Sri Krishna enters into the heart of that person who desires to hear Srimad Bhagavatam is because the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is a Mahotsav, a festival for Krishna. Krishna becomes so joyful, so ecstatic. Oh, now they are going to hear and chant Srimad Bhagavatam. I must go there at once. And he's celebrating. This is why he comes into the heart of the devotee. Because this Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna Bhakti Rasa Swarup. It is the Rasa Swarup. It is like an overflowing, endless ocean of transcendental love and affection. Shukadeva Goswami has described once when Krishna was about 5 years old, in the morning time, he came out of the house of Nanda and Yashoda and he was waiting. Many friends came and they all wanted to take the cows to graze in the meadows of Braja. But Krishna was waiting for Balaram. After some time, one servant boy came to Krishna and said, "Oh Krishna, Balaram's not coming today. His uncle has come from another village and he's rooted like a tree in the house. He won't go anywhere. And all the family are entertaining him. Balaram has to stay there also." So Krishna set off that day without his brother. When they were in the forest, one demon, the brother of Putana, Agasur, had been sent by Kamsa Maharaj. And he had assumed the form of a huge python with his mouth open, waiting to devour Krishna and his associates. So when the boys saw this huge, they didn't know what it was, whether it was a cave, a mountain. One boy said, "It looks like a huge snake with his mouth open waiting to eat us." One boy said, "No, it looks like a cave. Let's go inside." Another boy said, "No, but it looks like a huge python." Another boy said, "Don't worry about anything. Krishna is with us. What can happen?" And the boys went running through the fields. They wanted to climb over the bottom teeth and then run along the tongue and go discover what was inside this cave. Krishna tried to stop them. "Don't go, don't go." But they ran here and here and here. He could not stop them. Why? Because when the desire of Krishna and the desire of his devotees, they come into conflict, the devotee's desire wins. Because Krishna is premadheen. Though Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradi Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam, he is the cause of all causes, of countless millions of universes and the controller of all controllers. But Krishna in Vrindavan himself is subordinate and controlled by praying. And the praying there is out of control, has a life of its own, and Krishna cannot check it in any way. Though he is God and the Supreme Truth, this is not a fault on his part. His prema dinata, that Krishna is controlled by love, this is his greatest attribute. If he were not subordinate to love, then he would not be so wonderful. So it does not minimize him in any way. So the boys ran into the mouth of Agasur, and Krishna had tears in his eyes, feeling separation. Oh my dear beloved friends, they will die. And then Yogamaya moved. Yogamaya, who was covering Krishna and making him think, I'm an ordinary cowherd boy, the son of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. Yogamaya moved and he became aware, actually perhaps they won't die. Because I am Bhagavan. I will save them. And then Krishna was astonished. He began to experience Vismaya Ras, Adbhut Ras, astonishment. Why was he astonished? He was astonished that Yogamaya had covered him and he'd forgotten everything. Why did Yogamaya cover him? So that he could feel Karun Ras, the mellow of compassion. Alas, my friends, what will happen to them? So he relished the mellow of transcendental attachment and compassion for his friends, which could not happen if he were aware of his godhood. But then when he became aware of his godhood, then he relished another rasa, Adbhut Rasa. Oh, that was incredible. How Yogamaya made me relish Karun Rasa. Then Krishna went inside the mouth of Aghasura. All his friends had died. They were unconscious from the poisonous vapors. Not died, but as if dead. And Krishna only by the nectar of his glance revived them. And see, Krishna, he choked before he revived them. He became big and he choked the throat of Aghasura. So far in his life, Krishna had killed a few other demons, like Putana, like Trinavarta, like Shakatasura. But each time he killed these demons, he did it like an ordinary natural child. He killed Putana only sucking her breast. He killed Trinavarta only holding his neck. He killed Shakatasura kicking his toes. But why now he has done this supernatural activity of becoming big and choking the throat of Aghasura? Because his mother wasn't watching. The other time his mother was there. Or other cowherd people. So he played like an ordinary child. But this time he looked around. My mother cannot see. And my friends are all unconscious. Okay. Then he manifested some Aishwarya. And Aghasura choked and his Atma burst from the top of his head. Then Krishna revived his friends and singing and dancing very happily, they all came out of the mouth of Aghasura. Then when they came out, the soul of Aghasura that was floating in the sky, it began to float through the air and it entered into the lotus feet of Krishna. The Gandharvas were singing songs softly and sweetly praising Krishna. The Vidyadharas were playing mridanga. The Charnas were dancing and showering flowers. The demigods began to celebrate, seeing Krishna's beautiful pastime of killing this demon. It was a great miracle. Why? Actually, no one can see the Atma. How is it possible that the demigods could see the Atma of Aghasura moving through the sky and merge through the lotus feet of Krishna? Yogamaya, the power to make the impossible possible. Krishna's Leela Shakti had caused the soul to become visible to everyone for a certain purpose. Aghasura was not killed. Only Krishna very kindly removed the covering of his gross body and subtle body. And he gave him the Swarupya Mukti. Aghasura attained a beautiful four-handed form like Lord Narayan and went to Vaikuntha. So how kind Krishna is. Even those who want to kill him, he relieves them of all problems and gives mercy to them. So when all the demigods were singing in Bhur Bhuvaswa, Om Bhur Bhuvaswa, the three worlds above the earth, then the sound carried. And entering into the body of Krishna, from there the soul was going up past all the planets to Vaikuntha. And the Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok, they all began to make festivals. So festivals were going on all over the universe, celebrating Krishna's kindness. And so the sound of the celebration and the kirtan came, Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok, and the sound came up to Satyalok. Lord Brahma heard it. What's that? Brahmaji became curious. Why is the whole universe celebrating? I want to see. And Brahmaji got onto his swan carrier and he began to fly down to earth. Krishna said, oh, it's late now, we should have a picnic. Here they came on the very soft, clean, beautiful sand on the bank of the Jamuna, where many lotus flowers were blossoming. Krishna said we should take our lunch here. And he sat down and all the boys sat around him. With no gap in between them, like petals of a flower, around him in circles, 1, 2, 3, 4, many thousands of boys. And they took out their lunch packs and began tasting and sharing with Krishna. The Vedas say, Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapate. Supreme Lord has thousands of eyes, thousands of faces, thousands of hands, thousands of arms. It means when Krishna was having a picnic with his friends, though there were thousands of boys there, Krishna manifested a beautiful form with which to speak and interact and exchange love with every one of them simultaneously. The calves were nearby, but being attracted to the fresh grass in a meadow at a little distance, while the boys were taking their bhojan, ban bhojan, first picnic, then the calves, they began to wander off further and further away from the boys. When the boys noticed, they said, oh, the calves have wandered away. Krishna said, don't worry, you stay here, I'll get them. And Krishna immediately stood up. He still had food in his hand. Only 5 years old. Very soft and sweet. In his hand he had some rice and yogurt and some lemon and the amla pickle. And he got up, wait there, I'll bring. And he went to look for the cows. But at that time, Lord Brahma, seeing what was going on, he thought, I want to see more interesting pastimes. I will apply my mystic power. How could he think like this? Bhaktya mam abhijanati. God is only known by bhakti. He can only be understood and realized by his own internal potency, not by any effort of our own. So Brahmaji had become bewildered by Krishna's Yoga Maya. She is our Adi Guru. So he will not go into the Mahamaya. But because Krishna wanted to perform a special pastime of fulfilling the desires of all the mothers of Braj, that he should be their son, and the cows, that he should directly drink their milk like their calf, to fulfill this desire, and also to give mercy, to give prem to Lord Brahma, he arranged this pastime. So Brahma was thinking, I can see the pastimes of Krishna by my own power. This was his mistake. So Brahmaji, he stole the calves and Krishna could not find them. So then he came back on the bank, but before Krishna could arrive on the bank of the river, Brahmaji stole the boys also. And he kept the boys and the calves in a cave and sleeping by his mystic power. Or rather we can say that Brahma thought that he had done it. Because actually his power cannot touch any eternal associate. Though he is the secondary creator of this universe and the most powerful devata within the universe, he is unable to exert any influence whatsoever upon any member of Krishna's entourage in Transcendental Braj. He cannot control any cowherd boy, any calf, even any blade of grass or insect in Vrindavan. So it was Mahamaya who made replica forms of the boys and cows. And Brahmaji took them, thinking these are the real, and put them in a cave in slumber. And Yogamaya hid the calves and hid the boys even from Krishna. So he was looking and he could not find them anywhere. He came back on the bank of Jamuna, his friends. Actually they were still there, but Yogamaya had covered them. He said, "Where have thy friends gone?" Brahmaji was watching. Oh, see, I tricked him. He's confused. But it was Brahmaji who was confused. Because the very moment that Brahmaji took them, Krishna already knew. So he's wandering here and there with the fruit in his hand. Subal, Sridham, where are you? Looking for his friends. It was only act to bewilder Brahmaji. So then, Krishna, only by his desire, he expanded himself. And he became every single boy and every single calf. Brahmaji, he went back to Brahmalok. And he was there for just a moment. And then, when he arrived there, he tried to go into his palace. But the door of his palace was closed. He knocked. "Let me in! It's me, Chaturmukh Brahma." But the doorman opened the door and said, "Get out of here, I'll beat you." And shut the door in his face. Then Brahmaji thought, "Oh, I've made a mistake." Because Krishna not only expanded as the boys and the calves, he also expanded as Brahma and sat on the throne of Brahma and told his gods, "One impostor will come here pretending to be me. If you see him, throw him out." So then Brahma quickly flew back down to earth. When he arrived on earth, then he saw that Krishna was playing as usual, as if nothing had happened. Because of the time dilation between earth and Brahmalok, one moment there was exactly 1 year on earth. So it was 1 year later. So Brahmaji saw Krishna and saw the boys and the calves. He thought, "What is this? I have put them in a cave." So then he went to the cave and he looked there. There he saw the boys and calves were sleeping, just as he put them there. Then he came back on the bank of the Jamuna and looked. He thought, "What is this? Are these the real boys and calves, or are those the real boys and calves? Are there two sets? Or is it there's only one set? And when I go here, Krishna puts them there, and when I go there, Krishna puts them here." So then Brahmaji, he thought, "I'll test." So he has 4 heads. With 2 heads, he looked in the cave, and with 2 heads, he looked on the bank of Jamuna. So Krishna couldn't move them. And he saw in both places the same boys and the same calves. So then as Brahmaji looked on, each one of the boys became of sham complexion, like a blue lotus flower, and became huge and manifested 4-handed form, holding Sudarshan Chakra, the lotus flower, conch shell and club. Each one had Kaustuba money. In Vaikuntha, all the residents there, they have 4-handed forms. But only Bhagavan wears the Kaustuba money. Here, every single form, thousands and thousands of forms, each boy and each calf, manifested the form of Narayan with Kaustuba money. Krishna is very playful. The Ishtadev of Brahma was Vasudev, the four-handed form of Krishna. It was that Vasudev who had instructed Brahma in the Chatusloki Bhagavatam, the 4 seed verses of Bhagavatam in the beginning of the creation. So Krishna has also done this Leela to give Brahmaji the darshan of thousands of forms of his own Ishtadev. When Brahmaji saw each form, each and every form was being worshipped by another Brahma, another Shiva, another Chandra and Surya and Indra, and every living entity in 8,400,000 species of life was surrounding each one of the Narayan forms. Along with personified earth, water, fire, air, ether, karma, swabhav, time personified, and all living entities from Lord Brahma down to small blades of grass. And all of them were dancing and singing and performing kirtan. It was overwhelming for Brahma. Waves of opulence were emanating from each form. Brahma was looking. He said, Kim idam? What is that? And the vision became so extremely effulgent that he could not even see, and he closed his eyes. And then he could not even think, Kim idam? What is that? And he fainted. For how long he was unconscious, no one can say, especially Brahma. But after some time, he opened his eyes. He was like a person coming back to life from the dead. And he saw the whole universe. And he saw himself. In other words, by this experience Krishna had given to him, his ahankar, his ego of being Brahma, the creator of the universe, was completely dislocated. And he was seeing himself from an objective viewpoint, his identity of Brahma objectively, along with the universe. And there he saw Vrindavan. And Vrindavan was so beautiful. Even the animals that have natural enmity to each other, like snakes and mongoose, and cats and mice, but there in Vrindavan, they all love each other and play together. There's no envy there. And then Brahma looked and saw, wandering in the fields, one small boy with a peacock feather in his hair and fruit in his hand. And he was looking, Subal, where are you? Sridham, where are you? This time Brahmaji understood. He's playing like this, only to cheat me. And Brahmaji, he flew down in his swan carrier, and then getting off the swan carrier, he fell on the ground at the feet of Krishna. What does it mean? It means he is now free from the ahankar. Because the devatas, their feet never touch the ground. If the devatas come to this world, they walk, but they never touch the ground. So Brahmaji had given up the ego, I am a devata. And he lay on the ground. And he touched his head at Krishna's feet. But he has a problem, because 4 heads are facing in 4 directions. So you have to bow down, then turn 90 degrees and bow down again, and then turn 90 degrees and bow down again, and then turn 90, you have to rotate like this. So that one by one, each time he gave pranam, one of his heads would touch the feet of Krishna and bathe the lotus feet of Krishna with his tears. Repeatedly giving pranam and crying. Brahmaji was trembling. His breath became erratic. He could not speak. But slowly, with great difficulty, he composed himself. And he began to offer prayers to Krishna. These prayers are called Brahma Stuti, the prayers of Brahma. They are one of the many great valuable jewels of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the prayers of Brahmaji, there we will find beautiful descriptions of the sweetness of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. There we will find very precise and perfect Siddhanta. There we will find teachings about Bhakti. And especially there we will find not the glory of Krishna, but the glory of Krishna's associates. Because Brahmaji realized nothing pleases Krishna more than the love of his devotees of Braja. And for those who are aspiring to attain Krishna's mercy, the supermost method of attracting Shri Krishna's mercy is to glorify his associates, because that is really interesting for Krishna. Sadhyo Ridya Varuditayatra Kritibisa Srusivit Tachanat. The Srimad Bhagavatam is like a festival for Krishna because it is filled with the glories of his devotees. Krishna wants to hear it. So Brahmaji began to pray. No midyate bravapusay tadidambaraya gunjavatansa paripitchala sanmukaya vanyasvajay kavalavitr vishanavenu lakshmasye mridupate pashupangujaya. Brahmaji said, I bow down to you in your form as a cowherd boy, as the son of a cowherd and Nanda Maharaj, Pashupangujaya, Midupade with small soft lotus feet, with which you are wandering around in the forest. Why? When Krishna first wanted to take the cows out to graze in the forest, his mother was very worried. Your feet are so soft, Krishna, at least you should wear some shoes and have an umbrella to protect you from the sun. Krishna said, oh mother, we are Gop caste, we are Vaishyas, and it's our dharma to worship the cows. The cows are worshipful for us. If the cows are wandering around with no shoes, then how can we wear shoes? So, if our dharma is to be performed perfectly, when we take them to the forest, the true Gopa, he must also go barefoot like the cows. Otherwise, what kind of worship is that? You know, cows are worshipable for Krishna even. So he told mother, unless you provide shoes for every cow and umbrella for every cow, then I cannot wear. So Brahmaji said, Lakshmasya Mridupate Pashupankajaya. As a small boy, in the left side of your belt you have tucked a stick for controlling the cows and a bugle for calling them. And in the right side you have a piece of bamboo, your venu. You are decorated, not like Lord Narayana Vaikunta with a golden crown. You have peacock feathers in your hair. You don't wear a garland of parijat flowers from heaven, but wild flowers from the forest. I was thinking, this is not suitable for the Supreme Lord. Why should the Supreme Lord, who is all-powerful and full in 6 opulence, be decorated with forest flowers and carry around a piece of bamboo and feathers from the floor of the forest? But now I understand. No midyate brapafasai tadidambaraya. Why should you wear gunja? Earrings made of berries. Not made of gold and jewels, but made of berries. Brahmaji said, now I understand. This form of yours is very natural and decorated in a simple way, in a natural way. This is the only and supreme object of worship for every living entity. You are to be worshipped by all Brahmanas. So every Brahmana knows you cannot eat with your left hand. But look, you have... Who can understand it? So Brahmaji prayed, Jnane prayasamudapassanamanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavatiya bhatam stane stita sutit gatam tanuvam manovi ye prayaso jitaditopyasitaistilokyam. Those persons who give up the endeavor to know you by their intelligence, who give up the desire even to know you in your feature of opulence, but who simply listen to the description of your beautiful pastimes flowing from the lips of your pure devotees, then those persons, even though you are ajit, unconquerable by anyone, you easily become conquered by them. It means that the power, the potential, the prospect for those who simply listen to the sweet pastimes of Krishna is that their heart begins to palpitate with love of Krishna. And he becomes controlled by that praying. Brahmaji criticized those who don't follow the path of devotion. Sreya sritim bhakti rudasyate vivo Klishyanti e kevala bodha labdaye te shammaso kleshala eva shishyate nanyaktita stula tushavagatinam. Brahmaji said, my Lord Krishna, the only path of auspiciousness for every living entity is devotion to you. And those who neglect that devotion to try to speculate their way out of Maya, to attain liberation by the negation of the mature elements. I am not earth, I am not water, I am not fire, I am not mind, I am not intelligence, I am not ego. Neti neti, aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Those who try to practice the Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Yoga, but they neglect pure bhakti, then what is the value of this? They get no result at all. Just as a person, if you beat rice paddy, the rice will come from the husk. But if someone gives you a bucket of husk and you beat the husk, what will come? Nothing. Only you have pain in your arms. So Brahmaji said, those who follow other paths, they get a zero result. Only they get the exhaustion as their reward for hard labor and nothing else. But on the other hand, Tateinu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatmakritam vibhagam ridvagvapubi vidadanamaste jivetiyo mukti sadei sadayavak. Those persons who are very humble and they undergo the sufferings of this material world without complaining, without blaming anyone, only saying, oh, whatever is happening to me, I made this for myself by my own misbehavior. It is my own karma. And as that person is humbly accepting the reactions of their own misdeeds, they patiently wait. When will Krishna be merciful to me? And with their body, with their mind and with their words, they bow down again and again to you, Krishna. Then that person, muktis padesa daibak, that person is the rightful heir to the inheritance of Goloka Vrindavan. In other words, just as a child will inherit the wealth of his father in due course of time, so the devotee who lives his life according to this mentality of tolerance, humility and hankering for Krishna's mercy, all the time bowing down and engaged in hearing and chanting, that person, for him, it's only a question of time, he will inherit the lotus feet of Krishna and his eternal service in Goloka Vrindavan. So Brahmaji spoke so many philosophical things. But Krishna was not even looking at him. Krishna was not looking. He was just standing there, looking here and there. So Brahmaji, he thought, oh, what is really pleasing to Krishna? The glorification of his devotee. He said, Ahoti dhanya prajagoramanya stanamritam pitam ativate muda yasam vibho vatsara tatmajatmaja atmanaha yatriptayat adhyato nalam udvaraha. Brahmaji, he said, oh, how wonderful, how extremely fortunate are the mothers and the cows of Braja. Because you yourself, Krishna, you became their sons, you became their calves. Stanamritam, to drink the nectar of their breast milk. Ativate muda, and when you drank their breast milk, Krishna, though you are the supreme reality and the origin of all existence, when you drank their breast milk, ativate muda, you felt excessive joy, you became completely intoxicated by the flavor of their breast milk. So much so that you forgot everything. You became helpless. For 1 year, Krishna was completely intoxicated. And those mothers, they began to love what they thought was their own son as much as they loved Krishna. Before they loved Krishna this much and their son this much. But now they love their son this much. But at the same time, as their love for their own son went up to as much as they loved Krishna, their love for Krishna went higher even. And Krishna was tasting that in the breast milk, that is the prem that was flowing from their hearts. And he became helpless. Ativate muda, completely intoxicated. So Brahmaji said, you became their sons, you became the calves, just to taste their love. And the happiness that you felt by drinking their breast milk, oh, that gave you more satisfaction than all the Vedic yagyas, all the sacrifices performed from the beginning of time until this present day. So how fortunate they are. Brahmaji said, Aho Bhagyam, Nanda Gopa Brajokasam, Yan Mitram Paramanandam Purna Brahma Sanhatanam. How fortunate is Nanda Maharaj. Krishna, you are my father, but you call Nanda Maharaj your father. And all the residents of Braj, because you have become their mitra, their friend, their family member. And not like a family member here. All your family members here, everyone will die. And you will never see them again. You know, this world is a temporary place and every relationship is like the blink of an eye. But for the residents of Braja, Krishna has become their eternal family member, forever. How lucky they are? Aho Bhagyam, Aho Bhagyam. Purna Brahma Sanatanam, the supreme absolute truth is full of Ananda, has become their family member forever. So Brahmaji, he said, Aisham Gosa Nivasinam Utapavam Kim Devaratitinas Chaito Vishla Falat Falam Todaparam Kutrapayan Bhuyati Sadvaishari Vaputana Pisakulam Tameva Deva Pita Yaddamata Surit Priyatmatanaya Pranashayastat Krite. Oh Krishna, other than yourself, what is greater than your very self that you can give to your devotee to reciprocate with their love? If a devotee serves you, there are so many benedictions you can give. But the greatest benediction is you. If you give yourself. Kuta payanmuyati. But Brahmaji said, I am bewildered. Why? Because you already gave yourself to Putana, who simply dressed up like a Brijbasi. Puta was not actually a Brijbasi, of course. She was a demon and she came to kill Krishna, but she disguised herself as a Brijbasi and came into the house of Yashoda. But Krishna was so kind that he liberated her from the coverings of her wicked body and mind and gave her prem and sent her to Golok. You are here in Auckland, but where is Putana? In Golok. Very happy. Very happy. She doesn't have to grow old. She has no worries. She's playing with Krishna in her lap today, in great bliss. So Brahmaji said to Krishna, I am bewildered. I cannot think of what it is that you can give to the Brijbasis. If Putana came to kill you, but you gave yourself to her, then what is left over that you give to them, who, of course, they don't try to kill you, but they have dedicated their life, their home, their wealth, their families, and everything that they have at every second, they just live for you. Krishna, what's left over for you to give to them? And when Brahmaji asked this question to Krishna, he was wrinkling his four noses. Because by the movements of his eyebrows and by the wrinkling of his noses, he was indicating to Krishna, you cannot repay them. You cannot. The love they have for you, we know that you cannot repay them, Krishna. You are indebted to Nanda Maharaj, to Yashoda. You are indebted to Subal and Sridham. You are indebted to all the gopis of Braj forever. You can never become free from your indebtedness to them. You have to understand the difference between Braj, Golok Vrindavan, and the rest of the spiritual world. In Vaikuntha, there, all the living entities are constantly in a state of astonishment at the wonders of Lord Narayan, Bhagavan. But in Vrindavan, that Bhagavan, Supreme Lord, He Himself lives in a state of constant wonder, the prem of all the Brijbasis. That's why Vrindavanam Parchaja Padamekam Nagachati. Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. He cannot leave them. And He feels constantly indebted to them. So Brahmaji said, Tad bhuri bhagyam yajamma kimapyathabhyam yad gokulepi katamangri rajobhishekam yad jivitam tu bhagavan nikala mukundas twadhyapi yat pataraja sruti mrityameva. Oh my Lord Krishna. Krishna still wasn't looking at him. Brahmaji was trying again. Tad bhuri bhagyam janma kimapyatabhyam. Oh Krishna, it would be a matter of great fortune for me if instead of being born as the greatest demigod in the universe, I could take birth anywhere in Gokul, in Vrindavan, or even on the other side of Jamuna in Gokul. Even as a stone. What to speak of a human being or an animal or a bird or insect? If I could become a stone in Gokul, then that would be more fortunate for me. Because then, perhaps a Brijbasi who has been working hard in the fields during the day, when she comes home, then before she goes into the house, she might scrape the dirt off her feet on that stone before she goes in the house. And by getting the touch of the foot dust of one Brijbasi, my life will become successful. Brahmaji was crying. Why? Yad jivitam tu nikilam bhagavan mukunda. It means that, oh Krishna, you are their life and soul. No, they are your life and soul. And Jivitam, you are their life. That means that for the residents of Vrindavan, Krishna, you are living at every moment in each one of their senses. Krishna is present in the eyes, in the ear, in the nose, in the voice of every Brijvasi at every moment. And not only is he present, but in what capacity is he present? In the capacity of a servant. Oh, how can I serve you? So Brahmaji, he glorified the Brijvasis in this way, to please Krishna. Still, Krishna was not looking at him. Then, Krishna was not looking at him and not speaking. By his mind, he telepathically communicated to Brahma. He said, "Oh Brahma, how many learned persons like you are there in this world who can so perfectly describe all of my glories and attributes?" When Brahmaji could feel that Krishna was saying this to him, then he became embarrassed. He said, "Jananta eva janantu kim bahukchana me prabhu manaso vapaso vacho vaibhavam tava gochara." Oh Krishna, don't say that. I don't know your glories. There may be some persons who say, "I know Krishna." Jananta eva janantu. Let them know. Kim bahukchat name prabhu. But as far as I am concerned, I have nothing more to say. I don't have many things to say about this. He could feel as if Krishna was saying to him, "Then why have you offered so many prayers?" Brahmaji said, "This is only my audaciousness. Actually, I cannot fathom the end of your glories." So he said, "Manaso vapaso vacho vaibhavam tava gochara." Oh Krishna, your vaibhav, your glory is beyond the extent of my body, beyond the extent of my words, beyond the extent of my mind even. Here vaibhav has a special meaning, because Krishna's form is called Krishna Swarup. And what is non-different from his Swarup and the influence of his Swarup is called Tad Rupa Vaibhav. And that includes his associates. So here Brahmaji is saying, "Manaso vapaso vacho vaibhavam tava gochara." Even all your associates of Braja, I cannot understand them. They are all beyond my body, beyond my words, and beyond my mind. So then Brahmaji fell silent. He felt as if Krishna, though Krishna was not looking at him, Krishna was about to say, "Oh Brahmaji, it may be true that you cannot know the full extent of my powers, but I also cannot know the full extent of your powers." Then Brahmaji was completely humiliated. Then he prayed, "Oh my Lord, please give me permission to leave." And Brahmaji prayed, "Sri Krishna Yadukula Pushkara Joshadayin Shmanir Jaradvija Pashudari Bridikare Uddam Savaraharo Kshitiyak Rakshasadrug Akalpama Kamahan Bhagavan Namaste." It is the last prayer of Brahma. because now he wants to leave before Krishna will subject him to further and further humiliation. So in the last prayer, what do we find? Nam Sankirtan. The essence of all scripture is Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nameva Kevalam. The holy name. 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, but in the last verse, it is said, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashana Pranamo Dukkha Shamanastam Namami Harim Param. The conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam. Nam Sankirtan and bow down. Two things. Bow down. Give up all pride and chant. This is the last instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Brahmaji, in his last prayer, he began to do Nam Sankirtan. Sri Krishna Yadukula Pushkata Joshadayan. So many beautiful names for Krishna. And also in this verse, he describes the beauty of Krishna's form. Because in the first verse, he described the beauty of Krishna's form. So in the Vedic method of presentation of communication, there must be upakram and upasangha. Means a point of commonality between your opening paragraph and your concluding paragraph, which points towards your ultimate intention. So here, Brahmaji is saying, see Krishna Yadakula Pushkara Yoshadayan. Oh Krishna, you are like the sun that causes. Jai Sisi Radha Govinda Juki Jai. Oh Krishna, you are like the sun, which gives joy to the lotus flower of the Yadu dynasty. And Krishna, you are like the moon, which causes the ocean of good fortune of the Brahmanas, of the cows, of the Devatas to swell. And oh Krishna, Uddharma Sabaraharo, you take away the darkness of irreligion. Chiti Rakshasadruk, and you oppose the Rakshasas, the demons who appear on the earth. Akalpam Arkam Ahan Bhagavan Namaste. So my Lord Sri Krishna, oh Bhagavan, I bow down to you for as long as the sun will shine and for as long as the universe will exist. I bow down to you. In this way, Brahmaji concluded his prayers to Krishna. The meaning is very deep. First, he has glorified Krishna, saying he is like the sun, which gives joy to the lotus of the Yadu dynasty. And then he said Krishna is like the moon, increasing the ocean of good fortune for cows, brahmanas and devatas. But by Vyanjan Briti, by implication, it was a glorification of Krishna's eyes. Because it is considered that the sun is Krishna's right eye and the moon is Krishna's left eye. So by glorifying his eyes, Brahmaji was begging, oh Krishna, please, if you will not talk to me, if you will not interact with me in any way, at least just glance upon me just once. Brahmaji was begging. Why? Because Uddhama Sabraho Chiti Raksasa Druk. The demons come to this world and they spread adharma. And then you come and you give mercy to them. You glance on them. But look at me. You don't even glance upon me. You have what to speak of glance upon me mercifully. Even you have not chastised me or punished me. So if there's a servant and he has a master, if his master will reward him, he's happy. If the master will punish him, he's also happy because at least he gets some attention. But if he will not be rewarded or punished, he's totally neglected. That's too painful. So by this prayer, Brahmaji was begging, Krishna, please look at me. In fact, I am worse than a Rakshasa. I am a Brahma Rakshasa from Satyalok. And I have come here and made a big disturbance by trying to take away your associates, who are the most dear. In all existence, the only thing that matters to Krishna are his associates. And Brahma said, I came and tried to take them away. So I am worse than a Rakshasa. So akalpam akamahan bhagavan namaste. Then Brahmaji is crying. He said, I bow down to you for as long as the sun shines, arkam, akalpam, and as long as the universe exists, I bow down to you. What does that mean? It means Brahma is crying, I am so unfortunate. Why? Because you you can all chant Hare Krishna. You can all practice Bhakti. And perhaps in this life or the next life or the life after that, within a few hundred years, you can go to Goloka Vrindavan. But Brahmaji cannot go. He's the only one. He has to stay here. Because your lifespan is very short. Not more than 100 years. But Brahma lives for 311 trillion years. He has to take care of the universe. And so he can't go to Godhead until the universe is over. So Brahmaji, whoever he thinks he is the best, everyone thinks he is the highest, but Brahmaji himself is thinking, alas, alas, I am the most unfortunate. So all I can say, Krishna, is for the next, this was about halfway through Brahma's life, so for the next 155.5 trillion years, I simply bow down at your lotus feet. And another meaning, akalpamarkamahan bhagamas namaste. The word arka means the sun. As long as the sun shines, I bow down to you. But arka also means one plant, one type of plant. So in Vrindavan there are many trees and plants, like tamal and kadamba, and beli, jameli, jui, madavi, bakula, mulsri, champak. But there's one small plant called arka. It has no fruit and it has no flowers. It's pretty much a useless plant. So Brahmaji here is saying, Oh Krishna, I not only bow down to you and all of your associates and all of the astonishing plants and trees and creepers and flowers of Braj, I even bow down to the insignificant arka plant here in Braj. In this way, he's expressing a mood like our Raghunath Das Goswami. Yat kinchit trinagul makirkati makam goste samastamita sarvanandamayam mukund dayatam nilanukulam param shastra reva mohu mohu sputamidam nistankitam yachne brahma derapi sasprihena taridam sarvam maya bandyate. Raghunath Das Goswami said, I pray to every blade of grass, every creeper, every insect of Vrindavan, because you are all Satchidanandamoy and you all render favorable service in Sri Krishna's loving pastimes. So Brahmaji said, Akalpam akam aham bhagavan namaste. And akalpa means until the end of the universe. But akalpam has another meaning. The word kalpa also means ornaments. As Brahmaji expressed in his first prayer, Krishna, how astonishing it is that instead of being decorated in gold and jewels, you are decorated with humble berries and feathers and flowers of the forest. How is it appropriate? So Brahma closed his prayers by saying, Akalpa. Until the end of the universe, what to speak of bowing to you and your associates? I bow down to your gunja berries, to your peacock feather, to your forest flowers, to your ornaments. They are most suitable and full of rasa, of the sweetness of your Brajaliya. So I am bowing down to them. And then Brahmaji got onto the back of his swan carrier, Hangsa, and he returned to Brahmaloka. Our Srila Vishwanath Thakur said, "May these prayers of Lord Brahma remain forever within my heart. If you remember his glorification of Krishna, the glorification of the sweetness of Krishna, and most of all, give the utmost honor to the supreme position of the devotees of Krishna in his Brajalila, then very soon, one's bhakti will become, the heart, all darkness in the heart will become dissipated and pure bhakti will appear there." This is the specific power and potency of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vare Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Vare Sanwali ki jai, Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,